That's good. All right. We are live. Greetings, everyone. How are you? Richard Cameron here, also known as Coach Richard, along with James Wilbur, for just an incredible story of health, a incredible story of just almost redemption in respect to what he was facing and what things look like and where he is today. So, James, I've known you for how long? Maybe a dozen years?
Close. It's been 11.
11 years, okay. And we didn't know each other beforehand, and I'm not quite sure how you and I met outside of you reached out because you had a question, I think. Do you recall how that went?
Absolutely. I remember to this day, and I'll remember it forever. My absolute question was, I called you in regards to, do you know what Raynaud's is? And your answer was yes, and we've been comrades ever since.
Yeah, that's right. James, James is an iron worker by trade. You've been in that industry for how long, James?
34 years this year.
34 years.
Yeah, started in 1987. 86.
Okay.
But journeyman since 89. So yeah, it's been a couple of days anyway. Yeah.
A couple of days, yeah. And I mean, your entire household really, revolves around your ability to really provide, right? You're a father to 3 kids. You're a husband to an incredible lady.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've met her. It's just absolutely great. I think you got a dog in the back there, so you're dog dad too.
That's my daughter's dog. Yeah.
And you live just outside Delhi, but your day oftentimes starts at like 5 a.m, doesn't it? Just to be able to get to a particular job.
Or earlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you've driven any of the highways and byways around the Toronto area, over the overpasses and bridges and off ramps and on ramps and things, chances are you've driven over top of some of James' work, where he's made a point of making sure that things are a little bit safe for us. And I wanted to share a couple of pictures about what James does, because you've probably seen this before, walking around looking at the bottom of excavations of foundations of big old buildings when they're going up. This is part of what he does, and it's integral that he's able to use his hands and his body and everything else in order to make things work. That's the thing. I've got another piece here I just need to show you, which I just found incredible in this, which is this piece where this is him hanging off a wall.
Yeah, just chillaxing.
That's it. Just taking a rest and things that way. But as you can imagine, is that having full functionality of his limbs and digits and things are really, really, really important. I mean, it just flat out is. And the reason I bring that up is James, when he reached out, had something, as he said, called Raynaud's. And Raynaud's is, maybe you could describe what that is for folks, James.
My depiction of Raynaud's is it's extremely, extremely painful. I have fellows at work, and since I'm an older fellow, they always say, "Oh, I don't like the cold." No, I've done my years in the cold. How I explain Raynaud's to them so they can understand is that you take your hands. My hands are the worst, absolute worst. My feet are okay. Everything else is. But at the time I was searching for you or an answer, everything was sucked. But my hands have always been the worst. So take your hands, put it in a bucket of ice, pull them out, slice them with razor blades, soak them in some iodine, put them in a vise, and crank it. That's the debilitating of my hands. It's like put a gun to my head, pain. And actually, the year previous to finding you, I was actually off on disability because I was absolutely unable to work. Absolutely, hands down, could not. I just couldn't do the pain no more. And anybody that has Raynaud's knows exactly what I'm talking about. Absolutely.
Wow. I had no idea it was that bad. I had no idea it was that painful.
It is. Not today, but 11 years ago, it sure the hell was. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know that you were, searching for answers, and I know that you were, actively engaged with the medical community. I think that they were trying to help you a lot, right?
Absolutely, and homeopath too. Absolutely.
Okay.
There was no degree I wasn't willing to reach out, because if I couldn't provide, I had to start over, and I didn't really want to do that. So.
And I'm not sure that they have an entire pathology. They don't know exactly why or how or just the mechanism of it all. They just know that it's a bit of an issue or a problem, right?
Correct. It's mostly widely known as Raynaud's phenomenon.
Okay.
Syndrome, because it's a cause and effect. Okay. Very limited windows, they call it an actual disease.
Gotcha.
It's a disease more when you're born with it. I have what's called secondary Raynaud's. I've done something stupid to incur this to happen. And with my lifestyle, with my job, and racing motocross and riding dirt bikes and quads and all that stuff in my youth, a few car accidents and stuff like that. Just it's something has occurred, and actually just recently, I've found out that I do have a crushed or impaled vertebrae in my neck, which is causing the nerve part of the Raynaud's issue. Because as you well know, USANA has taken care of the rest.
Well, again, as I always get into it, folks, is that I will never make a claim. I don't treat. USANA does not treat, cure, prevent.
Nope.
Disease. What we try and do, and actually we do very well, so it's beyond try, but we provide an optimal cellular nutrition environment to allow the body to respond in optimal ways and act as its healer, to act as its performance enhancer, to act in a way in which we just live with vigor and vitality and energy. By the way, as we go through this, if you want to drop a comment or stuff, go ahead. It'll come up on the screen for us, and we can do that. But so we met. We went through those things. You were describing to me the issue. I had looked at some of the protocols that some of the physicians associated with USANA had an idea of what to do, and it rang a bell. And if you remember, it rang a bell because I work a lot with athletes, and I'd seen a study that USANA had done with the University of Boston on a particular product when they were working with folks that were tipping into diabetes and were full-blown diabetics and had cardiovascular issues, where the entire vascular system at the edges, I call it, the peripheral, the fingers, the legs, the toes and stuff was problematic. And they were working with a particular product that's called Proflavanol C. And what that is a combination of a highly, highly refined and concentrated grapeseed extract, along with the proprietary vitamin C. And lo and behold, it was creating an effect where I think I have the study. Yeah. Hang on, I'll just bring it up to you. It's an amazing study. And I'm going to find it here. I've got another screen. That's why you see me looking over at the edge here. I'm going to share this with you all when it comes up. And I'm going to add it to the stream. Oh, I'm not sure why that's flickering. That'll never do. Let me remove that. Let me just stop the share for a minute. Yep. Who knows? The best laid plans of mice and men. We're going to try this again, and we're going to share it again. There we go. We're going to add it to the stream. And here was the study. If that looks any better to you, I hope. We're going to come down to here, and it showed that just hours after ingesting the supplement, participants' microvascular function improved, and their blood vessels began expanding and contracting more like a typical typically expected in a healthy blood vessel. Interestingly, this only occurred when Epicaid saw a particular extract in the grapeseed, one of the bioflavonoids, was present in the blood. So James, maybe you could share with folks, as soon as I come down here, maybe you could share with folks what, I didn't want to do that. Nope. That's okay. Maybe you could share. Nope, that's not going to work either. Never mind. Just share with folks what your journey was with this. What did you find? What did you experience? What was your time frame on it?
Well, previous to well, first of all, talking up with you, and then you recommended a Dr. Ray Strand to me, if you recall, and got him giving me a absolute Raynaud's curriculum, right? And so I stuck to that like glue, and within about 3 months, my wife still remembers this. I used to, when I used to get up in the morning, wee hours in the morning, I'd go to work, right? I go to my car 3-4 times. Once with my lunch pail, my bag, and my sweaters, and another trip with my water jug, and so on. And then my last trip is always with my coffee. And start the car, obviously, first trip. And then, so it's 3 trips in the morning. And it doesn't sound like much to anybody's like, well, it's only 3 trips. But it was an extremely pain in the ass because of who I am and what I do for a living. It was frustrating. So this particular day, and I'm just won't guarantee this, but within 3 months of starting my regiment, I just grabbed my stuff, made my coffee, this, that, bing, bang, boom, grabbed my keys, out the door went, unlocked the car, got the car, started the car. I actually put it in reverse and backed up about 10 feet and went, holy Christ! I went back in the lane, went back in the house, and woke my wife up and said, "You're not going to believe this." And she's like, but you got to recall, this is like I was working in Toronto at the time. So I was leaving at 3:30, 3:45 in the morning, and she was not pleased. I woke her up and said, hey. So to this day, she giggles now, right? But at the time, it was that simple exercise in the morning, day in and day out, 5-6 times a week, that was so excruciating to me, was gone. All the inflammation in my hands, gone. Inflammation in my jaw, gone. Inflammation in my knees, gone. I never noticed all that other stuff, but I sure noticed in my hands. And then as time went on, and very, very short period of time, right? A couple days, I noticed that like all this was gone. And I think I actually called you right there shortly after. I don't think it was too awful much longer after that. And I said, "You're not going to believe this." Yeah. So it's old news to you, but it sure was exciting to me. And then we went from there, and then I've never looked back. Yeah. And before being on the supplements, I would get cold at work previous to being off, right? Previous to being off on leave there. I would get cold and not understand what's going on, but I would go to get warm. It would take 5 minutes to an hour. And you got to think about this for a minute. I'm in pain for that whole 45 minutes to an hour, not for 5 seconds of that hour. It's the whole time until my hands go from white to blue to red to like, okay, now I can go back to work. Now, and to this day, my hands get cold, I'm out shoveling away, this, that, whatever. I don't always have my heated gloves to help me along because I have nerve damage. That is unrepairable. Well, not without a degree of not a very good surgery, but I'm not going to take that chance. But anyways, so it's not repairable per se. So, but now my recovery time is, I don't know, 6 to 8 minutes.
Wow.
We're talking from full on white. Now, I guess I should explain this a little bit. My hands start to get cold. I can notice it. Then what they do is they do a grayish, like death warmed over color. Then they have white pigments through the fingers, and then spotted. Not just like, it doesn't look like you're draining. It's spotted. And then there's pink spots all over through my fingers. And then they go white and more white. White is pain. Blue is okay. I've learned to tolerate. I got a pretty high tolerance. So blue is okay. Gray is moderate. Red is on influx back, but white is. But when they're white, and I've done this, it happens because just 2 more minutes, 1 more minute, that kind of thing. And but recovery time is, yeah, it's minutes. It's under 10 minutes. I haven't really timed it because I don't really give it much thought anymore. I just get my hands warm and move on.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my feet have stopped. Like the feet have stopped.
Yep.
Like my feet have not gotten 1 degree worse from that for the last 10 years. They've not gotten better because they are what they are,
Yeah.
but have not perceived worse. And my hands have gotten nothing but better. And I think I'm at without the micro surgery that I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that road.
And it's a combination of a few things, right? So the foundation of everything you did was based around the Cell-Central, except you take it in the form of a health pack, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the health pack has a combination of these ultra antioxidants that are also have a technology in that's called intelligence that rejuvenates the mitochondria to very youthful, energetic level. It also fires up the endogenous, in other words, the internal antioxidant system. So not just the things coming from the outside, but also from the inside. I'm not going to go into the technology on that. And also an active MagnaCal, which is a combination of magnesium and calcium, and also an antioxidant booster that's got, I just say a lot of amazing things. If you guys want to know anything more about that, you can get hold of James, you get hold of myself, whatever, and we could share more information. I could share it tonight, but that's not what's important. It's this incredible journey of a man who found himself in a spot where he didn't know if he was going to maintain his livelihood. He didn't know that if he was going to maintain even the semblance of a normal life.
Boy, it was rough.
Right, James, with the obligations of family, right, and such a loving household. Yeah, I know, teenagers and all that stuff going on at the same time. But I mean, the challenges were immense, and good for you, because what you did is you decided that you needed to reach out to look outside of what we call traditional. Let's see if we can deaden the pain sort of thing, and see if you can get a handle and be functional in your life. And I know a lot of people suffer from this because I run into them, not personally, but when I'm speaking with other people, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know somebody who's got Raynaud's," or "I know somebody who heard of somebody who's got Raynaud's," and I, frankly, although I had touched on it and heard about it a little bit, I really didn't know much about it till I met you, and I knew that there was at least some hope and a solution. And literally, James, in case you didn't know this, that same therapy that you use, and I don't know if I can call it therapy, that same nutritional profile that you use, we use with world-class high-performance athletes to help in their circulation, to help them in the recovery of workouts. It's interesting because it's the same mechanism that's helping you, it's helping them in performance as well too. So I find that really interesting, on that side. And then there was a second part to this story.
Oh, yeah, the good one.
Yeah, the good one. Maybe you could refresh in time frame for me. When did I get a call from your wife?
I believe it was 2012-13 summer or fall of.
Okay, fall of
12 to 13.
Okay. I got a call from Deborah, and literally I've met Deb maybe for a total of an hour and a half. And she's like, and she called me almost. It was tears in her voice, if there's such a thing, tears in her voice to let me know that James here was in the hospital, and they didn't know if he was coming out. And I'm sitting there, what happened? I'm just assuming he fell off of one of the walls, right? Something happened, a job site accident and stuff. And then she filled me in only from the standpoint of they don't know what's wrong. So maybe you could fill us in on that story a little bit right now, James.
Sure. I was coming home from work in Toronto, and for about 3 to 4 days, I just had this fever, but not catastrophic. I work outside, no big deal. But this particular Friday, it was bad, and the guys I'm the driver, so I had 5 guys in the car and dropping and myself was 6. drop everybody off after work, and I come home, and my wife said to me, "You got a fever. You gotta go to the hospital. I guess it's bad." So go to the hospital, and yep, he's got a fever. Take this, cut me loose. 3.5 hours later, Deb says, like, this is not good. Like, so off to the hospital again. Yeah, he's got a fever. They said, you got to take this, cut me loose. Okay, so next day, which is a Saturday, he did not go to work. Fever, and off to the hospital again, and cut me loose again. So this is 3 times. So now we go in the hospital Saturday, 4 to 6 o'clock somewhere. And I was so delusional, and this is I have to go on my wife because I don't recall, but I was like Zulu'd, like I was like 103, 104 fever, and we went to the hospital, and she had talked to our doctor previous to that and said, this is what you need to stay to the hospital. And again, this is all I don't know for sure because this is what she's told me. And so we go in for the triage, right? The check-in, and I distinctly remember walking a couple 3 steps, and that was it. Next thing I know, I woke up and I was in ICU. I had stuff coming out of me. No idea, because last time best of my knowledge, I'm in the car going to the hospital, and next thing I know, I'm waking up in intensive care. I got this tent around me and whatever. And I'm pretty excited. Anybody knows me knows I'm pretty excited guy. I say what I say, and sometimes it makes people angry, and sometimes they just get out of my way. So long story short, my wife heard, and anyways come in and settled me down, and because I was leaving, so 2-3 days go by and still in ICU. And every day, Richard, every single day, twice a day, they come in and take 9 vials of blood. They were doing cultures and whatever they do with the blood, right? And they're trying to find out what's going on. And then it comes to realize that it's not getting any better or any worse. I'm kind of like stable. So I was moved to a room. So now we're on day 4. 4. So that's Tuesday. And on the Thursday, like people are coming and going, like leaving. And my wife came in, she was ready, distraught. And it's like, well, what's wrong with you? And she says, they're telling me you're not leaving. And I said, what do you mean? She says, you're not leaving. Your body's shutting down. We don't know. Have you looked in the mirror? And no. I eat everything. I'm doing everything. And to top it off, they try to take my vitamins, and the nurses got a little bit of good old James there for like, you're not taking my vitamins. But anyways, so that was all well and dandy. And previous to that, going to the hospital, we had a little onset, you and I, because I was so happy because I've always been a fairly big guy, and I lost all that weight with Raynaud's, put some weight back on. I was back up to like 180 pounds. I was so happy, and then wham, I get this fever. So I was 178 pounds to the best of my knowledge, the Saturday of entering the hospital. 10 days later, after my wife had come and said this, that, and whatever. See, another thing you need to realize is my mom died there, my dad died there, my grandma died there, my aunts died there. I'm not here. Like at this hospital, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. And she says, we can't. The nurse says, you can't. I said, I'm a grown man. I can leave here if I want to. There's no bars on the doors. I'm leaving. I am not dying here. I'm going to die at home. You guys are telling my wife I'm out of here. I can't see my kids. I can't see you guys won't allow anybody in here but Deb. I'm leaving. They're not doing nothing. So I was like extremely angry. And people that know me, they'll know that it doesn't work out too well for people around me when I'm angry. So I buggered off, and Deb says, are you sure? And, oh, yeah, absolutely. And so that was 10 days, right? And I looked, and when I got home, scale, and I weighed 141 and a half pounds when I got home.
10 days. 40 pounds in 10 days.
Gone. And so the aftermath of that was I got to get back to normal. My mindset. I did a lot of changing after meeting you and doing things, and this. There's way of fixing stuff, not necessarily in a hospital. So way I went, and I did what I did best, and I know what I know best is I pumped up on my vitamins, and I was doing shakes and eating. And Monday morning I went to work, and just about killed me. But I only worked 3 hours. Home. Next day, 2-3 hours. Next day, 3-4 hours. Next day, 3-4 hours. Next day, 4 or 5 hours. So within a 2-week period, I was back to 8 hours a day. And then I was still sluggish and slow, and everything's good. You know, I was exhausted when I got home, but I had to get back to me. Got to do this. So within 3 weeks, I was up 22 pounds and working 40 hours a week.
You'd put 22 pounds back.
No, within, yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I was 166 pounds within 2.5 weeks of being home.
Now, James, refresh my mind on this, because it has been a while for me, but you lived it, so you know it. There were a number of other people that were kind of unassociated, unrelated to one another.
Absolutely, yeah.
That were identified in the province, if not across the country, but certainly in the province of Ontario, that had experienced or had come down with this same affliction. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And there was at that time, there was a 50-plus-year-old fellow that was in not far from Norfolk, and he had actually deceased. There was a 30-some-odd-year-old fellow that had deceased in his 20s at that time was looking for a liver, because that's what was happening. My liver was shutting down. I was jaundiced. I was yellow from the whole, my insides were shutting down, and the 2 people at that time had passed away from this, and that's what I can't remember the doctor's name off the top of my head. My blood dude was so concerned, because he had done like 600 or 700 cultures and 14 or 1500 blood tests on the 10 days of vials of blood they took from me. Like every day, twice a day, 6 to 9 vials twice a day. So he was adamant. Like, it's not, they were just doing what they knew, right? So,
and they were trying to figure out what this was all about.
Absolutely.
So all told, with the number of people that, and I know you don't have the finite number, because it's really interesting how the province and the medical community kind of shut down the information stream. I understand that you had gone to look what this information was.
Absolutely.
What could you be told? And the answer was, what?
I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Or it's not available to us, or whatever.
Well, the young lady receptionist there was trying to get the information of my file, and it wasn't. I guess apparently was not my file, because it was property of them. Even though it was my blood, my information, I couldn't find out anything more as to what they accomplished, and that's what I was saying. They did 400 or 500 cultures and 14 or 1500 blood tests, and they were all whatever.
But of all the people that came down with this, whatever it was, a strange viral infection, bacteria, fungus, who knows, right? I don't know, But as far as you know, nobody survived, or those people that perhaps did survive do not have all their organs intact. Is that correct?
Correct, except for myself, to the best of my knowledge. Yes.
Except for you on this side of it. And I know that when we looked at this and we knew the only difference across this whole spectrum of things, that's not to say that's what it was. All you can do is kind of extrapolate, move forward. But we know that the only person who has been on an optimal cellular defense, optimal immune response, optimal profile was you through your USANA protocol.
Absolutely.
And I know that USANA managed to put together a meeting with you and one of our top research scientists.
Oh, you're damn straight, Dr. Dave Dixon.
Yep. To
try. He sent me a package personally.
Yeah. And to try and at least put a pathway together, right? Because USANA is the cellular nutrition company. USANA is the company that is based with 100 scientists to do nothing more than figure out how to make the human body work better, right? How do we make all these systems work better? and I look at this, and I look at these stories, and I look at a guy like James, right, who's sitting there today, visiting with you, sharing a story with you, and me, and anybody who watches this in the future, and we go, look, there are things that we can do if we start to think about our health, right? If we start to pay attention to what we do. That a man who comes from a standpoint of decrepitude, with just the inability to function normally in a cool to cold environment, and he's an iron worker. He's outside. He's twisting these. What do you call yourselves? Rod benders, right? Is it rod benders?
Rod busters.
Rod busters. Rod busters. That's it. If you can't use your hands, you got a bit of a problem. Okay. But the other side of it is a phenomenal story of survival, of like strange things. Now we sit here today with all this nonsense swirling around us, right? Who knows what information is right, what information is wrong? We don't know, but I do know this is that James, when you'll share your age. How old are you now, James?
I'm going to be 53 in October.
53. And the average age of the guy you work around these days, on the job, the young bucks are
24 to 32-ish.
Okay. So 24 to 32-ish, right? And they look at what I guess they would call the old man, and they start asking questions like that's not possible. You can't be doing what you're doing.
Their biggest hurdle, I think, is when I talk about, because I talk about my family quite a bit, and when I say my oldest boy is like 30, and the first thing out of their mouth 99.9% of the time is, "How old are you?" And I'm just like, old enough to be your dad, I guess.
Right. Well, James, you are. I mean, you've got a youthful thing. I've seen you out. I've been to your place when I lived down in that neck of the woods there, just outside Delhi, right? I see how you live. I see how the family keeps you going. I see things over and over and over again, and I do know that it's just so typical of the USANA family of folks that are living in a state of energy. But you take it a whole other level. You're the person who we can look at from an entire different level and say, really, like getting incapacitated with a syndrome, Raynaud's, to a point in which infected with some particular whatever, God knows what that was, and the only person to survive fully intact in this whole piece. And again, the protocols were quite simple, right? The protocols were quite simple.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But it comes down to a lot of people making the choice and putting together what I always call a health budget, right? And we never know how to put together a health budget because we were never taught how to do it. We didn't know that was important to do. We're biology, right? We probably got to figure that out. But at the end of the day, when you do it right and you put it together, you probably on your health, your state of health and well-being, spend maybe, I don't know, $7-10 a day, maybe. Is that about right? But
I don't know because I really don't much care.
I love it. I love it.
Like we and I have one more story yet.
Please.
You recall my wife, correct?
Yeah, I do. Please share.
Well, I gotta give me a minute.
Yeah.
Well, this one's tough because it's my wife, right? But cancer.
Yeah.
And she's sitting out in the living room today. She did the whole entourage, right? And we've been doing Southern Nutrition for 11 years, and her recovery rate from that goddamn disease is she was back up, vital, no hair. We were identical for a little while, and like, you know, my wife's got beautiful blonde hair to this day. It's down 3/4 of the way to her butt. You know, everything's there.
Yeah.
And she's back where she was. I would venture to say I didn't put a stopwatch on it or nothing, but I'm pretty sure it was shy of 6 months after her last radiation treatment that she was like in the batter's box swinging.
So James, this might be a little touchy, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I could be totally wrong. But leading up to that, okay, that moment, she had seen the things that you had gone through.
Oh yeah.
She had lived what you'd gone through. She, for a moment, thought she was going to lose you, right? She knew what would this descending in the Raynaud's getting worse and worse. She saw this elevator coming up, right?
Oh yeah.
But if I recall right, she thought that at the end of the day that the USANA protocols were for you,
correct,
not for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, though. She's the one that's at me going, "Hey, you got your vitamins? We're sitting at the table. Like, we take turns. Like I grab her, she grabs mine, I grab mine, she grabs hers. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing." and now that she's done what she's done, we don't ever go without.
Yeah. It probably looks like that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, never. No. There's no way. We both of us are on the right side of the dirt still, and I fully believe it's because of what we do.
But what she experienced, that again, it's your opinion. Who knows? But that as compared, and I saw the online video of her ringing the bell, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm sitting there clapping, and I saw. But from what you know and what they had told her to expect in her recovery, and perhaps some of the people, I don't know, I don't think you'd call it classmates. That'd be sick, kind of. But
you're close. Yeah, the people around her, they're all in the same boat. Everybody had different oar, but they're all in the same boat. And my wife just seemed to have the one out front.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that, man. I mean, she went back in for her follow up and seen the same crew, or respectively same crew, and her hair was already on the way back in, and they were at such awe of her recovery.
Yeah.
After like the last deathly radiation, right?
Yeah. It's something that I've heard over and over again.
Oh man.
You know, USANA has a sister facility just south of San Diego called Santa Vive, which is a medical institute, fully accredited, functional medicine hospital. People from all over the world travel there, sometimes with the private physicians, and many of them go there either after they're told to get their affairs in order, or oftentimes to recover from things. And they just weren't part of the USANA family. That other things are going on. Who know where they came from? We sent our daughter there. She was there. Some people were they had just left the clinic in Switzerland and had come there because they'd heard great things about it. But what I hear over and over again is the USANA protocols that end up lifting people up, that start to bring that vigor and vitality. And if you remember what I said earlier, folks, when I talked about the regeneration of the mitochondria, literally regeneration of the mitochondria to a youthful stage, as I call it, to a stage you're like feeling like you're 18 years old again, except this time maybe you got better judgment, right? That's pretty. So Deb goes through this process. She's gone through radiation and chemo, or both, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she's gone through both. And then when she walks out of that, then she starts her USANA protocol, right? Because most medical places here in Canada, I mean, it's sad because sometimes we're just not onto the top science, but they really refrain people from doing other things because they think somehow it's going to exacerbate the problem. But the science is pretty clear that it actually helps in the treatments. But I don't go there too much. I'll certainly talk with any physician about it, but not with I'll never interfere with the physician-patient, relationship. That's just not my job. My job is to help people help themselves in the way that they want to do it. So she experiences cancer, bad term. She's afflicted with cancer. She goes through the treatments. She comes out. She starts the protocol that we had talked about. And today she's kind of going full blast. She chases you around the house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're
folks, if you see James Freeze from time to time, he's got the newfangled Elon Musk internet going here. He's on Starlink.
Yeah, because I live in the middle of nowhere.
Beaming from out. That's because you live in the middle of nowhere. That's right. Surrounded by tobacco fields, right? That's sort of,
yeah.
That's right. But just an incredible story, James. Just phenomenal. Just to me, it's I don't know what and how or what I call divine intervention. How you found me, and all I do is I just work around a lot of smart people, right? Like scientists and stuff. They do all the heavy lifting. They do all the research and development. They do all the manufacturing. They do all the pieces. They do the studies. They collaborate with universities and research institutes around the world to validate the work that they do actually makes people's lives better. I'm just a messenger. And all I passed on to you, James, and all of this was just information that was passed on to me. That's it, just a conduit. But for whatever reason it was, and you found me, and it's just another reason why and now that you, by the way, James is an associate now and part of my team.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And he has got stories to share with people because that's what people want to know. Not all the science, not all the stuff. We can get that information to anybody at any time. What you do have is a story of survival and a story of energy, a story of love, and most importantly, a story of hope for people going forward. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or is there anybody out there that I see that Sandy has got a great little comment that just so grateful to you for sharing your experience, James. Just, it's without question. So cool. But do you have anything you want to add, or is there any questions anybody would like to ask? Anything along that?
When you're talking about vigor and vitality all the time, right? And I get it. You don't notice it so much when you're in the midst of it, that's for sure. But my wife and I were at the grocery store not that long ago, and we were in that one of those stupid lines waiting to get in, and this young lady was talking away, and she was having a little bit of a hard time. So of course I go and give her some help and whatever. And we're just talking, and she said something, and I said, oh well, my son's like 30. And I opened the bee's nest, and she had said to me, well, like, how old are you? I went, well, I'm 53, and this is my wife, right? And well, how old's your wife? And I said, no, that's not for me to say. But anyways, we're up there, and she just in awe that we are the age that we are. Yeah. And she said to me, point blank, dead to my face, that I wouldn't put you a minute over 40. Yeah. I said, well, thanks. But have you met my wife, right? so it was, but then Deb was talking to her, and we got talking to her and talking a little more and give her a little bit of information. And I said, if you really, really want to, it was that easy. I just mind my own business, and I don't know where I potentially may have a customer, or at least not, or potentially another friend, or whatever. It was not at the end of the day. It was still a pretty cool conversation, and I got to stick my chest out a little bit going, ha ha, where's those young punks now? That happens a lot. Yeah. Believe it or not, we're in line at Costco or wherever. My wife and I, we spend a lot of time together now since we've always spent time together, but it's now notably the time we spend together. Yeah. We can both say remember we were at, wherever yesterday or here or wherever. It's always together. We're together a lot. And some people say, well, I'm like, well, I'm okay with that. I ride Harley. I still do everything. We still do all the things, but my other love is my Harley. And my wife and I went to, 5,600 miles last summer. Just turn, hop on the bike, bugger off, go get something to eat, whatever. Together all the time. Like I swear, probably 5,400 miles of those 5,600 miles, my wife was with me.
That's beautiful. Such a beautiful story. Such a beautiful love story, James. It just is.
Well, you get it all the time. I mean, I'm not kidding. All the time. Like, people are just in awe as to our age, because they always seem, I don't know how. Of course, we always mention the oldest, never the youngest, because anybody can have a young kid. I mean, the oldest one, like Christopher's, he's gonna be 31 this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy man. And people are their filters aren't, I'm okay with that, because I don't have much of a filter. So they're like, how old are you? I don't know if they'd say that to my wife or not, but they sure ask me, but I'm good with that.
Well, one of the things that freaks people out a little bit when we start looking at the studies and we look at the physiology of the human potential, the human potential is to live somewhere before it decides that it really can't get, probably able to live to be about 150. Now, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. It's not going to happen in your lifetime. We do see the latest projections because of things, we're making life a little bit safer, right? Seatbelts and bubbles and things and stuff around us, and advancements in medical procedures and all like that way. But they're saying that the average 8-year-old right now, will live somewhere around 110. Now, time will tell, certainly, but we look at that and we go, oh my goodness. And we look at all the other mechanisms of the microbiome and our understanding of how bacteria ends up interfacing with our cells and all these sorts of things. And as we examine the science closer and closer and closer, it's important for us all to realize that we can live in our advanced years in a great state of vigor, vitality, and energy. We really have the capacity to do that today. I do. Okay. I'm a little bit older than you, James. I'm 67. I don't take a medication. I don't have an ache and pain. I just go. And it's not magic. It's not magic. It's optimal cellular nutrition, and movement is medicine. Okay. So keeping things moving. God knows you do, climbing up all that rebar, doing the stuff you have to do, all those sorts of things. You go each and every day. But I want to thank you, James.
I try.
What's that?
I try. I try.
I want to thank you for taking your time out this evening. You need to get back there to Deb. You need to go back and hug the kids if they want to hug you back. I don't know. But that's their loss.
That's negotiable.
That's right. And if nobody else has got any questions or anything else here, then we're just going to end this. And again, I appreciate you, James. I just do. I appreciate your story, but I'm so grateful. I'm just grateful I've been able to create.
There he goes.
This opportunity to share with other people today and certainly into the future. So with that in mind, good night. Chris says, amazing story. Thank you. Yeah. All right. See you later. Be well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.